Oh, hi! This week we're gonna make some calligraphy nib earrings. I tried my best, dang it, but I'm not great with clay, and I just want little accessories for my potential, hopeful, the dream goal for Halloween this year is to make a Rohan cosplay from the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure anime because I'm obsessed. The biggest difference between me pre and post lockdown is that I'm a weeb now. I mean, listen, I watched Sailor Moon and stuff when I was a kid, and Hamtaro, oh Hamtaro, that was my jam, or shall I say, that was my ham. Anyways, it's later than I usually film, can you tell? I just wanted to do a quick bit about how I made these little nibby boys. Let's get into it, shall we? Here's what you need. I'm just forever dehydrated. Drink some water if you haven't in a while. I just used some yellow polymer clay, an oven to bake it, some paint, and then some jewelry findings. So pretty basic project. I like that this is what I ended up making today because my initial intent for today's project was to try making the Geordie bralette that Fawn very kindly sent me and gave me some like helpful tips for, but my brain completely shut down trying to read the instructions. Also, I don't have the proper supplies for it, and if I'm gonna put that kind of time into it, not that it seems overly complicated, but I was gonna have to jerry-rig a lot of different facets to it, and there was no way it was gonna come out nice, and that would have made me lose motivation to try a nice version. So I'm gonna just try to find the supplies, like the little hook snap things, like the back of a bra, how it's like the set of hooks and eyes, as well as like better elastic than I currently have. I got plenty of fabric to use, just not the right findings, and like the special kind of straps. I am lacking notions. Pattern has been cut at least, so thank you again for sending me all that info, Fawn. You're the best. Anyways, sorry to disappoint that I haven't done that one yet. I made something at least right, pretty and fun and dangly. Not even the right kind of dangly for the character, but I'm working with what I have. So anyways, to the project. I just took some yellow polymer clay. This is just Sculpey 3. I mushed it around. I didn't need that much of it. I flattened it out with a little canister lid. Then I took this rectangular metal stamp, punched out a matching pair. You can also just do this by hand because honestly these stamps are kind of janky, so it didn't come out very even. You can probably get by just fine with like a stick or an X-Acto knife. Then I took this little teardrop shape, but anything round should be fine for this. And I cut out the bottom left and right corners, and it left this almost beer bottle shape to it. Then I tried to do this as evenly as possible. It didn't go quite right, so then I tried to smooth everything out with my fingies, and it also didn't quite go right, but we got something close in the end. Then I took a couple tools. I mainly used this little ballpoint guy, very helpful for sculpting stuff, and then this little paint spatula thing. I got it as a kit from the dollar store when I was working with my lino block kit. I got some little spatulas, and this is great for trimming any clay projects and then making like little indentations, just so there's a lot of angles going on here. So very helpful. So I used that little ball-shaped tool to make a rounded indent kind of in the center of the nib, and then I carved a straight line down to the end of the narrow bit to make that little gully that sucks up the ink for calligraphy nibs. And then I made a couple little indents with that white tool again on either side. And then I just tried to smooth stuff out. I felt like I was making things worse here, but then I eventually got something that I was okay with. And then once they were somewhat matching, I took them up to the oven and I baked them at 275 for 15 minutes because they're pretty thin. It says for Sculpey 3, 15 minutes for every 1/4 inch of thickness, so these were good in just the first 15. Then we were on to the decorating. So I actually smoothed the fronts down with some sandpaper. This isn't super rough stuff because I didn't want any drag lines to be anywhere on this. I wanted it to look smooth. And then because I had yellow, but these are supposed to be golden nibbies, I added a couple layers of this gold paint that I found, which doesn't have a particularly pigmented coat, so it did take a couple tries and a couple more tries, and then I got a decent sparkle to it and kind of darkened it up a bit. Like the difference between the front and the back on these, I'm okay with how many coats I put on here. Then I found some like really good paint pens that my lovely fairy god Cheryl sent me. They're just like micro liners. I'm sure there's a certain word for this, but very fine tip pens with like black ink, not Sharpie where it gets kind of purpley, but like black ink. So even this first one that I grabbed was too thick, so I had to grab a thinner one, and yeah, eventually filled that in real nice, and then I topped everything with a coat of clear nail polish. Then once all of that was dry, I probably jumped the gun a little bit, put them together sooner than I needed to because it felt a little sticky, a little tacky when I was doing it. They're okay now though, because they're literally hang drying on my ears. So I got my two nibs that mostly match my fish hook, Are these shepherd hook earrings? What do you call these particular ones? I don't know. And then 2 sets of jump rings each, because when I have a charm that needs to face forward, I like to add 2 jump rings because it just orients it the right direction, where if you want it to hang sideways, you could just add 1. So yeah, just took my needle nose pliers, opened the jump rings, assembled them as such, and then they were done. Pretty quick and simple. I want to make myself a lot more dangly earrings. I haven't worn earrings in ages, and I started doing it because of a wedding I went to last month. And I forgot how much I like them. I feel like it suits my face and hair situation nicely, and I just forgot how fun they are to make, which frankly is the important part here, right? I do have some more involved projects for this particular cosplay coming up. I'm mostly spoiling my Halloween costume this year because I need to be held accountable for the progress, otherwise I will not get it done. I have a couple other costume suggestions I have received from some folks. I have an idea that I came up with that it's really a matter of finding the right fabric, which I have yet to do, but I will keep that one a surprise in case it happens, because I think a bunch of you would be excited about it. But some of y'all suggested Agatha, and I didn't know who the fuck that was. But I did marathon watch WandaVision yesterday and this morning when I was doing some other stuff, and dang, what a great show. And I assume those of you that commented Agatha are talking about the outfit in the end episode. That whole look, which actually looks pretty fun to put together, so I'm considering it. Thank you all so much for commenting on the last video with some suggestions. I think there was 1 or 2 other ones in there that I probably won't be able to get to this year, but I'm forever making a list of good suggestions. So I appreciate the excellent media choices y'all make. And speaking of thank yous, I wouldn't be able to take time to work on this stuff without everyone over on my Patreon. Y'all are the best, and I hope you still like the stuff I'm making. Even when it's silly, specific, probably not particularly helpful projects like this one. I am anticipating a lot of sewing hours into the other garments I'll be making, so this is allowing me to put the time into that. So yeah, thank you so much. I'm off to make tiny pot pies for dinner because they're adorable and delicious. I hope you're all having a great week. I will see you back here with another video next Friday, and thank you so much for hanging out.